Hello everybody, the Destroyer here, and welcome back to another cast of the Rise of the Witch King, patch 2.02, version 5.0.1. Today we have a 3v3 on Dagorlad to take a look at. So hopefully this will be a good game to watch. I don't think it's a super long game, but hopefully it's entertaining enough. Of course, 3v3s on Dagorlad are always fun to play as well. I do enjoy a good 3v3. Anyway, we have a Black Mamba here as Goblins on the first team here. We have Celestial as the Elves there. I've never seen that player before. And we have their last teammates Hombre as the Goblins there. So two Goblins and an Elf. And the northern team we have an Elf player, King Thranduil. In the top left there we have kYGo as Isengard. And the last person in the match is pc-Tobias. I guess we'll just call him Tobias, as the Men of the West. So a Men of the West, an Isengard, and an Elf versus two Elves and a Goblin. Is that right? Or is it two Goblins and an Elf? Two Goblins and an Elf. Yeah, that's more correct. Anyway, we have a Goblin Cave being thrown down here from Hombre, who's going to get Goblin Warriors out soon. Looks like Celestial doesn't quite have a barracks or anything as of yet. Opting to go for a more economy heavy start, I guess. Unless he's building a forward barracks. Ah, he is indeed. He's building a barracks kind of by the Fire Drake. Intriguing. And then Black Mamba, of course, getting some Goblin Warriors himself. King Thranduil getting down to barracks, getting some Lorien Warriors out fairly quickly. As he should. And we have a Warg Pit being thrown down by kYGo, who's opting to go for Wargs. Warg Pack you don't see used too often, but they are pretty good. Especially if you utilize them correctly. They're very maneuverable, and they have the howl just like Warg Raiders do, so increased damage buff is always nice. And then Tobias getting some soldiers there from barracks. Soon he'll have some Goblin Warriors in his base very shortly. They're on a trajectory path right to his base, as you would expect. We have our first battalion of Lorien Archers out. It looks like kYGo might be actually going to take down this thing instead. Looks like Celestial arcing his shots over this thing, using barrage, of course, to do so. Nailing the Wargs as they tried to take down the outpost. Looks like he did not manage to take the outpost. It's unfortunate for him. Good defense by Celestial, though. Immediately throw down a rally call as the guys come out there. Hopefully he can get those soldiers over there to capture the outpost. That'd be a nice pickup for him. Looks like Thranduil is capturing the inn and also creeping the layer there, so he'll get the gold, of course, and the power point. And he'll be able to produce hobbits out of the inn if he so desires, which is not a bad choice. Looks like the Warg's going once again for an attack on the outpost. With that howl buff, they do a lot of damage, 50% damage and armor. You should easily take that down. Unfortunately, Celestial won't benefit too much from that, but he did manage to take down these Wargs over here, so that's a good pickup for him. Seems the Goblin Warriors have cleaned up any soldiers. One of them died of poison right there, unfortunately for him. Tobias going for some Gondor Archers. That's a good choice. Definitely a good choice against Goblin spam. Soldiers and Archers, very good. If you're not going for Knights or something. Knights can be good and bad sometimes. Against Goblin spam, you can get stuck in that Goblin clump and get poisoned to death very easily. So sometimes cavalry really isn't the answer against Goblin spam, as you might think. But sometimes it is. It just depends on how you use it. Where if you can trample like on the outsides of a clump like this, and hit a few here and there, come back, hit them again, but try not to get stuck in the middle, you might do fairly well. But anyway, kYGo's base is under attack by a horde of goblins. He will lose his furnace. There's no doubt about that. He does have a battalion of soldiers, RotWK swordsmen, and pikes as well to defend, as well as the fortress tower. He's throwing down a clan steading to help defense. Tobias going for a defense here with a lot of archers. He'll still lose that farm, unfortunately. That sucks for him, I guess. We have of course, a lot of guys from Celestial in the middle here. Not a lot, but it's a fair amount. Of course, he has to be careful of that Fire Drake. We have a lot of Goblin Caves here for Hombre, who's got 4, and then he's got a lot of goblin spam as well. Sending them all into the tunnel. Hopefully he has a forward tunnel here. He has one there. Is that the most forward tunnel he has? I don't think so. Looks like King Thranduil has gone for Lancers as well as Hobbits and Lorien Archers. Not a bad choice. And of course he has the Swordsman as well. He has a pretty well-rounded army actually. I'd approve of that, I'd say. Generally speaking, Goblins against Elves is kind of difficult for Elves, as I'm sure most of you are aware. Early game for Elf can be very difficult against Goblins. But actually in a map like this where it's far away, and the Goblin player isn't completely harassing you like tons like this, I'd say the Elves will get the advantage fairly quickly, because late game Elf will out-surpass the Goblins fairly easily if they're not playing correctly. Of course we have a big army from Celestial here. He's got Lancers as well. And a lot of Goblin Warriors. Whose are these? I think these are Hombres. So Hombre opting to go for an attack on kYGo instead of King Thranduil. So really now is the time for either Thranduil to go save his ally or go attack kYGo, or Hombre, which looks like he's going to attack Hombre, so that'll work for him. Of course, I was going to say his Silverthorns now. The Hobbits have Silverthorn rocks. Unfortunately, kYGo will lose another furnace here. Will he have a defense though? Possibly. We have mass amounts of archers here for Tobias. He's also got some knights now. Also losing some knights there. Like I said, they can get caught in the clump fairly easily and killed off. He's got to be careful his builder doesn't get killed off. That would be an unfortunate loss for him. This is really how you want to play Goblins though. Just spam, and of course he has a level 2 Goblin, or Spider Pit as well as a Fissure. Goblins are ready for anything. Unfortunately the Elves are so far away and not able to be too aggressive against the base of the Goblins that he'll have to play defense for quite a while. Looks like he's going for a Floodgate expansion, Thranduil is, to defend his back of his base here. Pretty effective. Unfortunately though, he is in a bit of trouble though, I'd say. Especially if the Goblin player keeps up the pressure. Nice run through there for Celestial though on the archers of Tobias. Didn't actually kill too many of them though, surprisingly. And they'll be forced to flee, of course. He should probably get some pikemen now, I'd say. But he's going to have difficulty fending off the armies of Black Mamba, of course, as well as the Elves of Celestial. As kYGo isn't really able to do anything at this point. He's able to summon a few guys here and there, but his economy's got to be utter trash. He's sitting on only two of these furnaces, and they're very close to his fort. Probably rebuilt as well, meaning they're going to get less than they normally did. And of course, that allows this elf to go late game and get his Mirkwoods out in the field. Now that he's at Mirkwoods, I don't see kYGo having any chance whatsoever. So things are going to get very difficult. Unless King Thranduil can go for Mirkwoods, but it doesn't look like he's anywhere near that. As of course, he is having to fend off hordes of goblins. As you see, this can be the plight that you end up in as elves. Just so many goblin warriors to deal with. Fortunately, he's going to lose his inn. He's going to lose this tree as well. The inn's not so big of a deal, but the hobbits are nice. They do one-shot goblin warriors as well, so it's always handy. kYGo running over here. Fortunately, being picked off by Mirkwoods as he moves. Because he's not really able to do anything. They've just got such good range. Oh, this looks very bad for pc-Tobias. This large clump of goblin warriors is going to do a fair amount of damage to the fort, I think. Unless he gets a nice run through. I think these knights are going to get killed off fairly easily, though. Tom Bombadil being summoned in. That'll help deal with the goblin warriors there. All these archers are doing fairly nicely as well. But of course, that's just one wave of goblin warriors. Goblin warriors are so cheap and spammable that in comes the next one. It doesn't even matter. And that's why goblin warriors are the strongest faction, in my opinion. They have such high damage output and such potential for damage, and getting power points. for the amount of cost. And they also have a great economy as well. Of course, with scavenger, lumber mills, and just cheap units in general. They're very strong. But of course, against like a late game elf with Mirkwoods and everything else, they would fall very quickly. So really, as goblins, you gotta do your thing early game. Once it gets too late game, you'll have trouble. Especially Ents. Ents are actually pretty good against Goblin Warriors, I've found. They can just walk around and step on them, kind of like Moomakill. But I think they take less damage than Moomakill do. I'm not positive about that. But we do have a forward Ent moot here from Celestial. Gonna get Ent and going to go to town on kYGo's base there, so that's not good for him. I'd say this game is definitely favoring the southern team in a heavy amount. But we'll watch it nonetheless. Anyway, we got a lot of Goblin Warriors here from Black Mamba. Just continuing the flood. It doesn't look like King Thranduil's been able to go attack the enemy in the south, unfortunately for him. And he's having to rebuild now. And now he's also having to deal with Celestial's cavalry, which is not going to end well for him in the conjunction with Hombre's Goblin Warriors and Spider Riders. So I see this base going bye-bye very shortly, unfortunately. And there's the first Ent for Celestial. Isengard's really just, because they got crippled so early game, they haven't really been able to do anything. Allowing Celestial to just pick up steam. And I mean, the things he's bought on his Steam sale. What am I talking about? But no, he's able to get late game elf very easily and help out his allies on both sides of the map if he wants to. Pretty much making it impossible for the southern, northern team to do anything. And down goes the fortress of Tobias. And that's probably his last building there. Getting swarmed by war-chained goblins. Actually, not war-chained, they're just standing on tainted land. Will that be it? There you go. Tobias has been defeated. That does leave kYGo, of course, who's being pelted by Ents and cannot do anything as of right now. So that's not going to end well for him. And of course, Thranduil is not too much a better position. And it is now 3 against 2. So this tidal wave of goblins is going to sweep across the land with the aid of the elves and really just make short work of everything. And of course, if he's not able to stop the Ent, there will be nothing he can actually do about any of this. More Ents being produced. Double Ent action. It should take down things fairly quickly. Especially with the aid of all these Goblin Warriors, that'll take down the fort fast. That's a lot of Goblin Warriors. They don't do a ton of damage to the fort, but if there's enough of them, they will do the damage. Just look at it. It's a sea of goblins. It's madness. And the fortress is down to half health, it looks like. And in comes an attack from Hombre now on to King Thranduil, who does have himself some horse archers. Lindens can be pretty good. Looks like he does have silverthorns as well. Or am I just hallucinating? I might be hallucinating. Yeah, I'm hallucinating. Those are hobbits. I was gonna say, wow, surprised he had time to get that. Looks like he's demolishing his base there. As kYGo's been defeated, King Thranduil demolishing his base. Because, obviously, 3-on-1, probably not going to go well for him. Alright, well there you go. That has been a cast of patch 2.02 of Rise of the Witch King. Hope you guys enjoy that, and I'll see you guys next time.